Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Casper, the Boy Diviner, and today I wanted to cover my top 5 tarot decks for relationship readings. One of my recent videos talked about career readings, right? So the other popular question that I usually get is for relationship readings. And for relationship readings, I feel like we need something more soft, something less airy and more watery. If you know what I mean. I want something more related to. There's a bee right outside my window, so I'm gonna try to. Okay, so I closed my windows. I'm sorry, guys. I was so distracted. I'm so afraid of the bee because the bee was actually flying around earlier. Relationship readings are the second most popular reading that I usually get from my clients. So I wanted to do a top 5 relationship reading tarot decks just in case if you guys want to get a relationship reading deck or a deck specifically to read relationships. These decks I feel like are pretty good. The original deck that I started using to do relationship readings and I realized it worked was the Sasuraibiro tarot. Okay, here's how it's spelled. The Sasuraibiro tarot. And it's a beautiful, beautiful deck by Sasuraibiro. A lot of people actually call it the sassy burrito deck. But I like calling it the Sasuraibiro deck. So you can see that mine is pretty worn out. Mine is pretty old. You can see that the gilding has already kind of chipped off. And this is not about the quality of the deck. The quality of the deck is pretty good. It's still it's quite an old school deck, I would say. It's not a new deck. This deck has been around for a really long time. So the version that I have is glossy and things that we don't really enjoy as readers, for especially Instagram readers. But I would say that the imagery is really, really good for in relationship readings. Everyone here is very how would I put it? Everyone in this deck is very accessible, very approachable, very there is nothing too painful to see. I know I also did another series about decks that kick your ass, decks that are confrontational. This deck can be confrontational, but in a more gentle way, just due to the art, This was the deck that also helped me a lot with my court card readings. I feel like as a beginner, you usually get tripped up by court cards, but the court cards here are all very, very accessible. For example, look at the Page of Swords. You can sort of see how the Page of Swords is just looking at that just looking at that card. If you see the King of Swords here too. So they have the same theme, but you can see the details really matter, how their face looks, how kindly they are. I would say that this deck is a kind deck. And this is why I like this deck for relationship readings, because a lot of people need a lot of kindness when they come to you for relationship reading. So that's the first deck I would use for for any relationship readings. Not for myself. Sometimes I like to be brutalized, so I usually pick more confrontational decks, but this is something I will use for a client. Okay, the next deck I want to cover, which is a mass market deck, is the Star Spinner Tarot. I think you guys know that I like this one a lot. And I try to use more expensive decks when I do readings for clients just because I want to give them an experience. I want to give my clients an experience that they might not get otherwise on their own. And this deck is quite an accessible deck. It's not too expensive. So, people who come to you for readings, they might actually do tarot on their own. So I didn't want to use this too much. But if I ignore that, this is a deck that I would use for relationship readings because it is so beautiful. It is also very gentle. It is very fairy tale, in a very neutral way. I would say, for example, the Tarot of the Divine is a deck that is about stories around the world, but I don't feel like it's very neutral. I feel like it's very based in the reality of the fairy tale, whereas all these fairy tales in this deck they're not on the forefront. Their book doesn't even talk about it. If you want to learn more about the fairy tales, you can check out my other video that I cover them extensively. And it really helps you understand the deck, but it doesn't need to be there, you know what I mean? This deck doesn't center itself from there. And it's so beautiful, so accessible. I would say that this is a very good deck for relationship readings. There are all types of different body types. And a lot of the cards here actually is about relationships, right? They are about relationships. Like this one, the Overprotective Mother. Even though I know this is from the Snow Queen, but you can always see it that way, a different way. Yeah. This is my favorite mass market deck for relationship readings. A deck that I almost put into the top 5 but I didn't is actually the White Newman deck. So I'm going to add those 2 links below. It's an Amazon affiliate link. So if you buy from that link, I do get a bit of a cut. You don't have to pay anything extra. This one is my favorite mass market deck for relationship readings. The White Newman just was like the 6th one, so I'm not putting it in this video. But if you want to know more about the White Newman, you can always check out my other videos. The next deck I wanted to talk about is quite a rare deck. I think it's going to be re-released soon. Don't know if anyone will be shocked to see this, but the Bhutan Tarot. This is one of my favorite tarot decks. I have not used it much in recent months just because I'm trying to get used to other decks. But this one is really one of my favorites. Just how it shuffles is beautiful. I would say that for this one, the majors are a bit weaker than the minors in the sense that they are more static. This is not a static hangman though. This is a good hangman. But for the sun, the moon, all of them are very static. But for the minors here, they are all filled with movement, and I really like the watercolors here. I would say that this is a very good deck for relationship readings because the court cards are also very magical. They're very personable. So I think one thing about relationship readings is you have to be ready to see court cards come up. Because there are many players in one relationship, right? It's not only just you and them, but it's also their mother, your mother-in-law, the other person that they might be seeing, many other players in the relationship, their siblings, your friends, their friends, so many things. So for me, court cards become super important when I'm doing a relationship reading, and this one has very, very good court cards. Look at how beautiful this is. This deck is beautiful. So it's really soft. It's really easy. I would say that a lot of people coming to you for relationship readings might be hurting. So, I always prefer a more gentle touch with my relationship readings. But for me, I haven't really used this deck for clients. I've used this more for myself, for my friends. So yeah, shuffling this is always a dream. Yeah, okay, I need to use this deck again more and more. Yeah. It's just weird to use this deck just because I've been having more work stuff. I'm more worried about work stuff than anything. So using this deck doesn't feel right. This deck feels more like a quiet time, and life hasn't been quiet for a while. Maybe I should use this deck to manifest that quiet life for myself, but it is what it is. Okay, the next deck I wanted to talk about is the Prisma Visions Tarot. This deck is also a beautiful, gentle deck. Okay, some people might not see it as gentle because there are some rough images, but it is actually very gentle and it is very easy to read. So for example, if you look at the Death card here, it's the first card that appeared. Look at how gentle this Death card is. Even if it ends, it's a white rose. It represents that fool nature. You're gonna jump because fool is they have a white rose. It ties that back. Look at the Seven of Wands. How beautiful this is. And there's something about the lack of outline, something about the pointillism or I don't know how you describe this, but it feels very, very soft. It feels very soft, even if there might be very tough things. So I would say this deck, the court cards are not as easy as for example, the Bhutan Tarot or the Sasuraibiro Tarot, but it is very beautiful. It is very easy to read. I have read for friends and even clients with this deck, especially for relationship readings, and they have commented about how connected they are to the image itself. Look at the Ten of Pentacles. How beautiful is that? The Hangman. This one, you see, this is more of a brutal card, I'll guess, but I wanted to show you guys a range today. So this is one of the ones that is a range, and the next one is even more brutal, but I would say that one is also very good for relationship readings. I think something about relationship readings is also how I want color, and all these decks here that I showed you today have color, because in the relationship readings, I feel like color is really important. How I do a reading is I'll see similar colors in different cards. So the requirements are cards that don't have one color scheme. For example, the Lost Hollow Tarot is only black, red, and white. So for something like that, all the colors are the same, so you don't need to put too much emphasis on the color. But for something like this, something for the next one, and something like for the Star Spinner Tarot, when you see common colors, that can be some sort of a common ground between you and that person. You know what I mean? Yeah. I kind of am dropping how I do relationship readings in this video, just unexpectedly. But I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. The last deck that I want to cover today that might be a bit brutal for relationship readings is the Lubanko Tarot. I really enjoy this deck. This has become one of my favorite decks to read with on a daily basis. So I've been using it more and more. It feels very bluish, but the colors do vary a lot. Like I mentioned, colors are really important. The Fool. So I really like how the variances in the cards here, the variances of the cards here. There is some unfinished stuff, there are some stuff that are very polished, some things that are very sketchy. The first 3 cards I showed you were all very blue, you see? It's so beautiful. So there's a big range of color. And this really helps you to read. Not all of the cards here are easy to read. For example, this one, look at this one. This is amazing, this is beautiful, but it is not as easy to read. So if you're more of an experienced reader or a reader that really leans on their intuition, I think this deck is really good. And the figures here are so beautiful. Look at the Knight of Cups just now. Yeah. I really like this deck a lot. I think this one would be good for relationship readings. But to be very honest, I have not used this for relationship readings. It's just based on the feeling I get when I do this reading. It is I would say it's an all-rounder, but I would think it's one of my better relationship reading decks. I would say because especially some of it is very visceral, especially like the Lovers and the Devil. These are all very I would say more sexual in nature, and there's always a sexual nature when you do a romance reading. So a relationship readings does sometimes involve romance. So this deck would be good for something for romance and something more if you're stuck in a romantic relationship that you don't know if you want to get out of, you don't know how the other person feels, you don't know whether the sexual energy is there, that passion is there. This deck is good because it's full of passion, I would say. Look at this one, the strength card. Do you see the passion here? This is why this deck is more good for that kind of relationship that is more based in physicality. Yeah, very, very good. A very, very physical deck, this one. So not in any order, the top 5 tarot decks that I have for relationship readings are the Sasuraibiro Tarot, the Star Spinner Tarot, the Bhutan Tarot, the Prisma Visions Tarot, and also the Lubanko Tarot. I hope this video helped you guys decide on maybe a deck that you want to get, especially if you want something that is more relationship reading based. If you have any decks that you think are great for relationship readings, please leave a comment below, let me know, and I can check those decks out. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And you guys have a great rest of the day, you take care, bye!